Okay, well, the first thing that I'm going to do for everyone watching or listening around the world, I'm going to say thank you very, very much for joining us today. Myself here, Liam Hartree, and our amazing guest, Aria Wild, today. Today is episode 530 of the Simply Inspired Presenting Champions podcast. Very, very surreal to say that, but it is true. So, for all of you who've stuck with us for this length of time, thank you so much. And for everyone tuning in for the first time, really hope that you enjoy and get some inspiration from this amazing lady's story today because we are going to be talking about a bit of everything. As many of you know, obviously, with the boxing side of things, fighting Cris Cyborg, the legend, as you can see in the poster there. We're going to be talking a little bit about the modeling. We're going to be talking about sponsorship. We're going to be talking about the mindset that it takes to reach such a high level in multiple pursuits because Aria is very successful as a model and as a fighter as well. So there's going to be some great content for everyone. Also, I am going to say, excuse my voice, I'm just getting over the flu, so that's not 100%. Hopefully, sounds okay. But with everything being said there, Aria, thank you so, so much for making time for this. And it's awesome to be here talking with you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for inviting me onto your channel. I've been really looking forward to finally getting to speak to you.
Likewise, likewise. Great to be here. Great to be here. Now, as I said before we started recording, I love your background, and we'll talk more about the fights, and we'll talk more about everything. But I'm actually just going to kick things off with something fun and easy because you've just got back from a very exotic location yourself with doing
Yes.
some of your modeling, and as soon as that's just happened, and people will be, those people who follow you will be seeing that on your Instagram. Guys, anyone who doesn't follow Aria, please give her a follow. We'll talk more about that later on all the socials. But yeah, can you share with us a little bit about how that shoot went? Because you were in Turkey, right? Is
Yes,
that
I was in
correct?
Turkey, Cappadocia. I think the locals call it Cappadocia though. An absolutely stunning place. There's so many different shoot locations. So the company that I went with is called Lux Photographic Experiences, and it's set up with an amazing photographer called Jody Wright, who's based in Swindon, who I've been shooting with for about 3 years, and one of his models, Ella Rue. And they've created this trip for different creatives to come together, so models and photographers, videographers, and they plan all of these different locations, and they're just absolutely breathtaking. We've got the Red Rocks. I've got a video shot of me literally right on the edge of a rock, and you've just got this massive, stunning view. I'm in a cave girl outfit. And then we've got hidden caves, quite a lot of work we've done with horses. It's just absolutely breathtaking. So if anyone's looking to go to Turkey, I highly recommend this place. It's great for children as well. There's plenty of beautiful places to see. The locals are lovely, good food, and it's pretty cheap when you're there as well.
Absolutely amazing. Well, like I said to you before, some of the photos I saw coming through, absolutely amazing, and it looks like you had so much fun. And that's why I'm just starting off. I mean, we'll talk about the boxing, we'll talk about everything, but as soon as you
Yeah.
just had the shoot, I thought, okay, let's kick things off with that. And I think a lot of people want to know as well, with the modeling side of things, how you sort of got started with that, because people now, especially a lot of other women and young girls, they want to get into modeling, they want to give it a try, and you're having a lot of success. And people see that now, but people don't always see where you started with that.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about how you got into that side of things, please, Aria, as well?
So with the modelling, I had just turned 18 years old and I entered a local competition in the area with a company called Fraser Portraits. So they often do like your school photos, like the mugshot, sat in a chair or your whole class. They do like wedding photos, stuff like that. And the winner of the competition would win a boudoir photo shoot. So back then I had no idea what boudoir was. I just entered it thinking maybe I'll just win. I have a luck of winning competitions. I can't explain it, so I entered it. I won this competition, and I said to my mum, who she's Catholic, so she's actually not very supportive of that style of stuff. So anyone that doesn't know boudoir, it's kind of like lingerie in like a romantic setting. And I said, Mum, I've won this photo shoot. It's a boudoir photo shoot. And she was a little bit like, oh, okay, well, let me help you get some outfits together. And I was so puzzled as to why my Catholic mother was helping me find lingerie for this photo shoot. But we did that. I absolutely loved it. and it led on to a little bit of hair modelling. So one of my friends was working at a hair salon. They needed a last minute model for a wedding fair. Then they needed it for a L'Oreal hair competition. So I kind of just did that for a couple of years and then I stopped. I had my son when I was 22, so I was quite young. And then when I started PTing around 8 years ago, I did a fitness photo shoot, which was advertised in Canada. Um, and then after that, I felt like I wanted to model, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that really expresses the feminine body in a very strong, powerful way. And I felt that through all of the different things that I've done in modeling, that for the fitness stuff, I wasn't as muscular as the other girls, and for the other types of modeling, like hair modeling, I was too muscular. And then, funnily enough, Jody Wright, who's the guy I've been going away with on these trips, the photographer, he put on his Instagram, I came across his Instagram that he was looking for more models to shoot at this beautiful house called Tag Down Barn. And I applied for the position, but what I didn't realize is that the models were paying the photographers. They're really high profile photographers. I thought the models were getting paid. And the day before, I thought I'd better just double check. And he was like, no, models are paying photographers. And I was like, okay, wow. At this point, I was financially really in a bit of crisis. I had no money. I was in quite a lot of debt. I was battling some personal issues. I'd just come out of a long-term relationship. And at this point, I hadn't actually gone into recovery. I was still very much using the substances that I was addicted to. So I found some money, got some money together, went on this photo shoot, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Like, have you done this before?" I said, "No, I've never done anything like this. I'm an ex-ballet dancer and gymnast, so I have a good comprehension of how to use the body, but I didn't really know anything about lighting or posing or anything like that." And when I received the pictures, I thought I'll just chuck them on my Instagram because I wasn't using my Instagram the way that I'm using it now. It was kind of just me going out getting wrecked with the girls, maybe a couple of squats, nothing with any substance or meaning. So I put a couple of pictures up and then I had some interest from other photographers, and that was how I started growing as a model. So that would have been 4 years ago this October.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
that is amazing. So, yeah, with the recovery side of things as well. I mean, as you guess from the name, when I call it Simply Inspired, a big part of why I do these talks is to inspire people and help other people. And really, I just like to walk through that process of, how you came off everything, how you cleaned yourself up, because you've totally changed your life. And I've been listening to a few other podcasts in preparation for this, and I've just been amazed, to be honest. I mean,
oh, thank you.
there was one or two sort of online like this. There's a couple in person. And I was just listening to them. And I was thinking, wow, there's a lot more to this story. And I'd heard bits and pieces before, but I didn't even realize the extent of how much you've healed from and how much you've turned your life around.
Yeah,
So yeah, I want to just tell this part of the story in terms of how you did it, but also your advice for other people who are
yeah.
currently struggling with a similar thing. It's as simple as that, Area, to be
So,
honest.
firstly, my advice for those that are struggling with addiction, whether that be, sugar, that's a form of addiction, alcohol, or any sort of grade of substances, it is a very scary transition to leave that behind. And it's almost like a grieving process. You have to fully accept that this substance is not going to be a part of your life, and the people involved in it as well. You're also going to lose, and the people are the things that I found most difficult to deal with first, because you get fear of missing out. Your friends, who are actually your associates and not your friends, continue to lead the life that you were living whilst you're trying to go off and heal. And I mean, for me, I was very much on my own. I've got my best friend Aisha and Zoe. They were, by my side. And the first 2 weeks I did just on my own. So I knew I was having issues. And that summer, I promised myself I need to sort my life out because my health is upsetting my health. I'm getting into financial crisis and I'm dealing with, altercations that I wouldn't deal with if I wasn't in these situations. Unfortunately, I had some underlying health issues. I was experiencing rapid bowel movements, and in those bowel movements was a lot of blood. So I went to my GP and they said that I was displaying all the signs of bowel cancer. So it was like really worrying, very upsetting, very traumatic for my family. And I went into a vegan diet for 4 months because I did find whenever I was eating any sort of meat or eggs or dairy, my stomach was really bad. So I worked with a dietitian that was actually given to me from the NHS. She was amazing, just said, you know, we need to concentrate on your food. And I thought, I know that it's probably due to a couple of substances I was using. One was called GHB. It's also known as liquid ecstasy or a date rape drug. It's quite common in the gay community and also, you know, sex parties and stuff. The other one was ketamine. So that I used to like taking because it alters your state of mind. Um, so I basically just shut myself in my flat. I did a just a bit of a cleanse to just getting rid of old clothes, getting rid of old things, started unfollowing people off social media, and then I just kind of just went cold turkey, to be honest, which I wouldn't advise for everyone. But I got myself a planner and I held myself accountable to everything. So I'd make myself get up at 5:30 every morning. I would have cold showers, a green tea, do some breath work, do some meditation, and I'd force myself to go to the gym. Now, some of those days, my bowel's bad, I'm shaking. When you're coming off ketamine as well, it affects your balance. So I'm all wobbly and it was really unsettling. But for about 2 weeks, I was pretty ill and I would force myself to go to the gym. And then throughout the day, I would give myself little hourly check-ins. How am I feeling? If I'm upset, let myself cry for a minute. I'd give myself 60 seconds to cry or 60 seconds to rage. I would time it. Then I would be like, right, come on, do something positive. So it's time to read, do something creative, get out in nature. And the real turning point for me was Christmas. I went to see my sister who was back from Switzerland, and we were in a beautiful house in Kent with our children. And she was really upset. She was really worried about my health issues. And I said, look, I've planned to do a 4-day fast after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year. It's rated as the most unproductive week of the year worldwide. So if there's a time to, you know, shut yourself down and do something productive, now's the time. So I did a 4-day fast, so just water for 4 days. And I cannot explain to you how healing that was mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It was, I've never experienced anything like it. The first day I felt unsettled and I felt hungry and my patience wasn't at its best. So I just watched movies and just did what I could to keep myself calm. Throughout all of these days, I didn't communicate with anyone. I just shut myself off. The second day, I woke up with that pain of hunger, and I thought there's literally children and people in the world that feel this on a daily basis, and they're forced to get up. They're forced to, you know, look for water, look for food. There are a lot of people that don't have the privilege of actually choosing to do a fast. So I'd get up, do my meditation, do some stretching, have a cold shower. And throughout the second day, I just felt this massive sadness that came over me. And I just started crying. And I was crying like a little girl, like crying my eyes out, shaking. And I was coming to terms with peace, of accepting a lot of things, letting go of trauma, choosing to not hold on to any hatred or anything like that. And yeah, throughout that second day, it was just really quite upsetting. I felt very alone. I felt very worried about what am I going to do with my life. I'm in this debt. I've got this health issue. I'm in recovery. I've got no one really here with me. And then the third day, I started feeling calmer, more positive, started creating a bit of an action plan. Right, how are we going to clear this debt? Right, what am I going to do with training? I need a focus point. I can't be in a victim mindset, because if you're a victim to yourself, you choose to be a victim to life. And I'm fed up of being a victim. And then the fourth day, I just had this surge of energy that I was going to conquer the world. And I thought, I just felt amazing. And I was so happy. I went down to the beach and the waves were huge and it was freezing cold as well. And I just had this urge to get in the water. So I stripped off into my pants and crop top. I went into the sea and I guess it's kind of like maybe I found God at this point. I felt so deeply connected to myself and to the world. And I made a promise to myself that I'm never ever gonna use any drugs or alcohol, cigarettes, or any of those substances. I'll choose to always find forgiveness, to let go, and just to be the best version of myself. I come to peace with a lot of grievance that I was facing, a lot of traumas, and then I just dumped myself in the ocean. And I come out and I just had these tears running down, but I wasn't crying. It was almost like a big cleanse, and I just thought, fuck, I feel fucking amazing. Like all of these years of like feeling like trapped and scared, I felt like I could conquer anything. And I thought, do you know what? You get this one life, let's just boss it. Like, even if I'm on my hands and knees, I'm not quitting. Like, I'm not a quitter. And that's where this fire warrior mindset, that's when it started, like, it just kind of gave birth inside of me.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
like
bit, it
I said,
sounds crazy, I know.
no, no, it doesn't. I mean, first of
Yeah,
all, I've been on very much on a healing journey myself, by the way, not to go off topic with that. So
yeah,
I understand a lot of the process. And,
yeah,
that's why I'm interested in telling these type of stories and, the spiritual side, the meditation, going in the sea, obviously, but all
yeah,
types of things. And like we were talking about before, I mean, that's a big part of why I'm here instead of in the UK is actually very similar, purification. And that's a story for another day. But I get where you're coming from.
yeah,
And there's really, really good advice in there, really good advice. And I think
yeah,
it's incredible. And I always say when I do these, Aria, that if we touch even one person with this, then, we've done some great work in getting this message out there because people can follow in your footsteps and, what one person can do, another can do. So it's as simple as that.
definitely.
Now, so it doesn't slip my mind because there's so many things. I mean, in terms of the boxing side of things, obviously we need to talk about that. Is that where
Yeah.
that started for you? Did that start during your recovery, like with the training and everything, or did it sort of come into your life at a different time?
After. So it started coming in after. I did a little bit of kickboxing just after I had my sons. So that would have been about 11 years ago. I did about three one-to-one sessions and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't aligned for my path right then and now. I've always had a keen interest in fighting. I was quite naughty growing up and used to love getting into a scrap. If the boys were going out for a fag and a punch up, I'd be joining them. But the boxing started, I started ring girling first and I was watching the fights and I thought, oh man, I'd love to just get in there. Like I just felt this urge to just want to be in the ring. And I actually started training 2 years ago. Um, and it was I started training 5 weeks out from the first fight I had. So basically, I started training. I was training with the boys in my local area for their fight camp. And then I said to my coach, who's now my fiance. He wasn't my fiance then. And I said, look, I want to fight on the December show. And he was like, well, you've only been training a couple of weeks. You've had no sparring. You don't even really know the basics. And I was like, please, please, I beg you. I was like, I can do it. I was like, I'm tough, not just physically, but mentally. I said, I explained my story to him. I said, for my own peace of mind, I need to do this. I've wanted to box all of my life. I've not been able to because I was in gymnastics and ballet, which I loved, but boxing wasn't a part of my life as a child. And I said, if I don't do it now, I know I'm going to live with regret. And yeah, he let me fight, and I got beat to pieces. It was like very um like a not a very good match. She had had 34 fights and was 12 kilos heavier. But he said it was that fight. He said he said a lot of people don't have heart and they don't have courage to keep going. A lot of people would have quit. He said, but you kept going. And he was like, and that for me says a lot about a fighter. And he was like, and I knew then you were going to do something with your boxing. So I think that's where I can kind of relate going into recovery and the boxing, because when I'm boxing, yes, it's hard. It's bloody hard when you're getting punched and beaten around and you're trying to think about what you're setting up, how you're going to move, how you're going to defend yourself. For me, that fasting process was so mentally crippling. The way I see it is nothing can be as much of a challenge as that. So when I'm faced with a bit of hardship now, I start feeling, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I remind myself, right, look where you've come from. And then I can kind of push through.
That makes sense. I can understand the mental the toughness, and I mean I've got
Yeah,
to say here as well that the courage, though. I mean the bravery. I mean because there's a lot of things. It's not really a question, but I just want to say to you that the courage is really inspiring. You know, to have a go at
thank
boxing,
you.
to put yourself through everything you put yourself through in the recovery. Even the modeling, I think, is actually very brave because obviously, you know, you probably get like the jealousy and we'll talk about that afterwards. But before we do, though, okay, so you started off like that. You had the lifelong dream, you know, first fight, but then that's led you all the way to like, you know, these massive fights, and especially
Yeah.
the Cyborg,
The Cris
and you know
Cyborg,
that went
yeah.
around the world. I mean, that was everywhere. And I'd actually heard about you, I think, a little bit before that, but I remember when that fight happened, it really sort of blew up everywhere.
Yeah.
Just walk us through your memories of the fight, you know, your favorite moments, you know, just the whole thing. It's the build up. With this, I don't have like a really narrow question because obviously there's things about the experience that you
Yeah.
would have had that we don't get from just from watching the fight, obviously.
Yeah.
So just your memories of it. I just want to hear the story, to be honest.
That Cyborg fight is a whirlwind. I mean, I've done a lot of psychedelics, right? I've done a lot of crazy things in my life, and that by far was off the radar. So we got presented this fight as an exhibition. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, obviously I'm going to do an exhibition. I'd love to do an exhibition with Cyborg, 16-ounce gloves. You know, she's not going to want to knock me out or anything like that. And we received the contract, and it was not an exhibition fight, it was a fight in 10-ounce gloves. And I'd only been boxing 6 months. I'd only had two fights, um, both in 16-ounce gloves. So I didn't really know the difference between, you know, what it would feel like. And then they said the fight had been presented to over 120 women, you know, pro boxers, and people were turning this fight down from Cris Cyborg. And I thought, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll do it. My partner was just like, look, I got no interest in you fighting Cris Cyborg. He was like, I get you're brave, I get you're courageous, I get you're strong mentally and physically, but this, she's a killer. She is the most feared woman on the planet. You know, her background in combat sports is what, 18 or 19 years she's been in combat sports. She's done so much for MMA as well, created a whole weight division. And the more he was talking about her, I was like, oh my God, okay, I actually feel not nervous, I feel scared. For the first time in my life, I felt like proper scared. And I thought, look, the chances of me winning are slim. Yeah, we know that. I'm no fool. And I get you have to be delusional to reach your goals, but it's boxing, yeah. If I land a big shot on her, there's a chance of her getting knocked out as well. It's both ways. If I get knocked out, I get knocked out by the greatest woman in combat sports. And if you know, if I beat her, that changes history for women's boxing. Some model who's barely been boxing for 6 months beats Cris Cyborg. So either way, it's win-win. And he was like, okay, okay, let's do it. So for us, the game plan was just to punch and move, almost like an amateur style, and just be defensively acute. Cris Cyborg, it is, I mean, she was so intense. Like the moment I met her, we had to do a face off at the hotel with, you know, the camera crew and press and stuff. And she's walked into this room, and none of the cameras are rolling or anything. And she walks into this room with her team, and she's just staring at me like through my soul. And I was like, fuck, are we doing it now? Like, I thought we are waiting for the camera crew. Like, I don't know what to do. I've never even had a face off with an opponent. And now I'm stood in this room with my partner, you know, the CFN team and Cris Cyborg and her team. And I thought, oh my God, I'm actually like shook. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. And I could feel myself like trembling inside, and I thought, if she senses my fear, she's won, because I know this part of the process. I know it's to do with a little bit of like, mental, not manipulation, but just trying to make your opponent feel scared. And we went into this room and I thought, you just got to tell yourself she's like an old, frail woman. That's what I was telling myself. So we had our face off. I think we had 3 that day, and I won the face off. She looked away first. So in my heart and my mind, I'm like, right, I've earned her respect now. And I remember the day of the fight, I just felt so sick of nerves. We took the fight on 3 weeks' notice. Um, and I just remember like just praying in my dressing room, like all I pray for is that I come out safe. I don't have a brain injury, and I don't get anything broken. That's the only thing I wish for, because I knew that my mum, my family, and my son were watching the fight, and I just thought, for their sake, I just want to make sure that I'm safe. And I remember walking out, and I just felt like the whole place was kind of swallowing me up. I felt like a tiny little doll walking out. I was so scared. And then when she walked into the room, her presence is so strong. It was like, fuck, like you could just feel her presence as soon as she stepped into the ring. It was like, like gladiators, when you've got the gladiator and the lion. That's how it felt to me. And we were stood face to face in the ring, and I thought, this is it. Like, there's no backing out now. It's going to be a matter of seconds until you're going to feel her power, and you've just got to do your best. You've just got to fight as if this is your last fight of your whole life. And I was like, fuck it, let's just go for it. And then that was it. I just felt excited. She nearly knocked me down in the first punch. I jabbed down to the body and left my chin up like a fool, and she knocked me back and I went flying. And fortunately the ropes were right behind me, otherwise I would have gone on my arse. And after that first shot, I thought, Jesus, like, I've been hit by men in the face, and she is like strong. She's strong, she's powerful, she's great at stalking you down, closing the ring off. There's nowhere for me to run. The whole game plan was out of the window. I can't jab and move, because wherever I move, she's there, she's on top of me. And when she knocked me down, I thought, God, like, I just felt everything was sideways, and I remember crawling to my corner. There's a video of it somewhere online, me crawling on my hands and knees, and Peps was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "Stay down." I was like, "No, no, no, I'll get up." And he was like, "Stay down." I said, "No, I'll be all right in a minute." He was like, "If you get up, she's going to knock you out cold, and that's you done for. She will knock you out cold. She's a killer." And I was like, "Please." And he was like, "Just stay down." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, felt like I wanted to get up. But as soon as I got up, everything felt sideways. So I'm pleased that I didn't continue the fight. But that experience, so she knocked me out halfway through the second round. It was like no one else was there other than me and Cyborg. And like I said, she's got this strong presence about her that's really calming, but you just, I can't explain it. It's honestly the most surreal experience. Her timing with every shot is perfect, like everything's punch perfect. She's just phenomenal. That experience with her is a once in a lifetime experience. And if I could do it again, as crazy as it sounds, I would do it again. I would love to fight Cris Cyborg again.
That is, it's amazing hearing the story firsthand. I mean, like I said, Aria, it's one thing watching the fight, and it's another thing hearing about it like that. I mean, that is absolutely, that is courage on the next level. I mean, courage is actually a theme of your story, though, all the way through. I mean, that courage with the recovery, courage with the boxing. I'd also like to touch on that with another thing, because like with the modeling side of things as well, I think it takes courage to do that as well. And I want to touch on that a little bit from maybe from a different perspective. I ask you this respectfully, but you actually do like naked modeling as well, do you? Like you do?
Yes, yeah. I
Okay.
do a lot
Does
of
that take
art
cou-
nude.
does that take courage to do?
Yes, definitely,
Okay.
because you're showing all your most vulnerable self. You know,
Yeah.
when we're brought into this world, we are our most vulnerable self. We're in the nude, we bear all,
Yeah.
and we're waiting for our loving mother or father to put their arms around us and wrap us up and protect our modesty from strange people. So to get to a point in your life where you say, I'm that confident that I can bear all, it is a very courageous thing. For me, it's not about the sexual relationship with looking at the naked body, it's the art form of it. It is, we all have these bodies, we all have these parts, and really it's only society that has built this expectation of us to wear clothes. You know, obviously this day and age you can't just walk into Tesco's naked to get your bread and milk. You'd get thrown out, and I can understand why, because of the way that the world is. But many years ago we were just walking around naked, hunting, foraging, or doing whatever else we would. And I feel like there's a part of me that is very much like this cave wild woman that just really embodies, embraces being my most natural self. So when I'm on these location shoots and I get to shoot nude, I feel completely free. I feel safe and I feel at home. And unfortunately, you can't share a lot of the shots. Well, you can't share any of those shots on Instagram. So I have another platform where I share these images on OnlyFans, and sometimes I put things on Twitter as well. And it's not to entice men to feel a sexual connection with me. It's for them to appreciate the female body. And what I was saying to a photographer on the trip that I recently went on, I said, in modeling, my body is very athletic in comparison to a lot of females. And I want to show that you can have a masculine, athletic build in a very feminine, dominant environment. But also, I want to show that in a masculine environment like boxing, that I can still be feminine, but I am fiercely strong as well. And I want to infuse both of those worlds together. That's my thing.
I love that. I love that. That's why I knew I wanted to ask you about it, but respectfully, because obviously,
Yeah.
like you said, that coming from a man, it could be taken, and I don't mean it like that because I understand the artistic. So, I mean, for example, my mother is a painter amongst other things, right? So, so she'll do like the art
Oh
nude
wow.
painting. So I
Yeah.
understand I mean, she mostly does sort of abstract pieces and different things, but I understand that aspect and it's not sexualized. But at the same time, people will be curious. I must admit, I was curious. But then when you're doing a shoot though, and there's people around and you're, butt naked there, I mean, is it mostly men, mostly women? Like, is it like, is it like a big team of
It's
people or is it more intimate with
yeah.
the photographer kind of thing?
So the recent trips have been going on. There's been about 6 to 8 models, all female, and the photographers are male and a couple of female. I don't shoot art nude with this place that I went away with to Cappadocia. So Lux Photographic Experiences, strictly we don't shoot topless, nude or art nude. So I have done that work with other photographers, but usually when I'm with a photographer shooting that, it's on a one-to-one basis. So it takes quite a lot of trust knowing that you're with a photographer that allows you to be, in your most vulnerable place, and you feel supported and respected by them as well. You know, they're not to make any comments about your body parts or anything like that. But I wouldn't just go into a shoot an art nude. I would start off with like lingerie or swimwear or something like that and work towards that. And then if I feel that I'm not in a safe place with a photographer, I would then voice, I'm not feeling shooting this today, and continue the shoot doing something else. But I think as a model, it can be really difficult to voice your boundaries with photographers. I've had photographers before that have really tried to push me through my levels and trying to get you to do things that you don't want to do, or you've got no interest doing, and they're trying to really bribe you into doing things. And it can be really difficult because you go into that fright, fight, flight, or freeze same as boxing, it happens in boxing as well. I've seen people that train, they're incredible sparring, and they get into a fight, and it's like they freeze. You just don't know how your brain is going to respond in that situation and what message is it going to send to the body. But I think as you grow, you know, older and you get more life experience, you learn how to say, I'm not comfortable with doing this. This is crossing a boundary, or I feel this way. Even with training, you know, I will train for illness and injury, but recently I've been learning to say, actually, my body's very tired. I feel like I need a rest, where before I would force myself to train and suffer in silence. So I think that's definitely something that you learn with age and experience.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very valuable lesson there about consent and boundaries and other things, and it really hopefully puts a more respectful light on this for people who may not understand, the artistic side of it, which not everybody does, but hopefully they will after today. So, final question about that though. Your mum, you said earlier, I mean, about picking out the lingerie with you. I'm sorry, I've got to ask this, Aria. I don't mean to be, but Catholic mum, and like you're doing, this glamour and that naked stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, how does she feel about that now? Because that's a step even beyond the lingerie. I mean,
yeah.
if you don't mind me
No,
asking,
I don't mind you asking at all. It's a very interesting question because it's really funny actually, because the trip that I've just come back from, I said to Jodie, who led the trip, and again, we don't do any art nude on this trip or anything topless. Everything's very tasteful. And I said to him, as soon as you get the pictures, can you send them to me? Because I want to send them to my mum straight away. And he was like just wasn't expecting that. I said, I know it sounds mad, but if I send a lot of my modeling pictures to my mum, not nothing nude, but everything with clothes on, and usually it is lingerie or very small outfits. I send them to my mum because she has learned the art form and she can appreciate how much goes into the shot. I do my own hair, I do my own makeup. She understands these photographers take a long time researching the place, the lighting. Sometimes we're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready to go on a shoot, and the hours and energy it takes to create that one shot, it's incredible. So now I send my pictures to my mum, and if my mum can say that's beautiful, I love that, that for me it's like I don't even care how many likes I get on Instagram. I just want my mum to say that's a beautiful shot. um but yeah, she's become very supportive. She is in a position where she will often ask me, you're not getting any younger, you're 35 years old, how long are you going to keep up this modeling, how long are you going to keep up this boxing? And I think in her world it would be lovely if I had a safer job, a more modest job, that I can do till whatever age. But she understands it's just not me. Like I just could never ever do a job like that. And I think if I did, I would be very, very upset, not my happiest state. So she just wants me to be happy. I don't think she's keen on all of the bondage looking stuff, which again is completely understandable. It's not everyone's taste. So I'm ambassador for Dr. Harness. They create these stunning leather harnesses, which is closely linked to BDSM, bondage, that sort of thing. There's many different avenues that you can go down in this world. For me, again, I feel at home with all of that stuff, just like I feel at home with all of the natural, wild woman sort of content. But I just love it. I think it looks cool as fuck. I feel powerful when I'm wearing it as well. I'm wearing these harnesses, like I feel like an absolute boss bitch. And you get, it sounds crazy, men that will like want to worship you. And I'm like, what else could a woman wish for? Yes, it feeds the ego, which is seen as a bit of a sin, but it makes you feel good. And as long as you nurture that in a certain way, you're not exploiting people, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I think because my mum knows that I have good intentions, I'm a good person, I just want the best for people and I want to bring out the best in people. And I do believe that I show that in my content, whether that's all of the natural stuff or bondage.
Absolutely. I agree very much. the intention behind it, and that's why. Because also, you have to understand, area from my side as well. I mean, because it's artistic and creative, I'm like, cool, I totally get that. But then it's like I wouldn't do an interview or endorse like the proper, pornography or the proper like sexual, like in
Yeah.
just that way at all. Because, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with people, if they go into something like that and they come back out and things like that. But for young girls, I think, it's not really. And for men, I think it weakens the masculine self.
Yeah.
But with what you're doing, it's a totally different thing. And that's why I wanted to ask that because I don't know how many people understand that. Some, but maybe through this
Mhm.
we help more. Okay, last couple of things because we coming up on this sort of hour, and I don't want to take too much of your time. Your future plans with the boxing, because we spoke about Cris Cyborg. I mean, that was
Yes.
a very quick rise from starting out, and that first fight that you told me about to fighting her, and everything else. And obviously, I see interviews and I see things out there about the boxing, so I know a little bit. But for anyone who's not in the know with this, where do you want to go with it? I mean, imagine if we were talking again, say a year from today, kind of thing, where you would want to be in the boxing world by that time. Is
So
the best way I can think of to explain it.
I have some big plans, and they may seem delusional, but behind the madness, there is method. So I'm due to fight Julie Pocker on Misfits for her world title. Now she's number one in women's influencer boxing and in the world, and I'm number 8 in the world. She's number one in our weight division, and I'm number 3 in our weight division. So the plan is to fight Julie the end of this year. We're just confirming a date with Misfits where I would beat her, and then after that, I believe she's entitled to a rematch. So then I would beat her again. And then I would defend the belt a couple of times. And then after that, I would like to rematch Cris Cyborg. That for me would be the plan and a dream come true. But second to that, another big, deep passion that I have is bare knuckle boxing. So I'm ambassador for Bad to the Bone, which is a Queensbury rules bare knuckle boxing platform in the United Kingdom. I'm ring girl for them. I really, really want to do bare knuckle boxing. That is the ultimate dream for me. So I'm hoping to do hybrid boxing, which is boxing and MMA gloves, after I've had a bit more experience boxing and I'm defensively, a Q, and I've got a little bit more ring experience. And then right at the end of my boxing career, when I'm completely done with boxing, completely done with the modelling, I'd like to go out with a bang and do a BKB. I'd love to have a bare knuckle fight. That's the plan.
That is awesome. That is absolutely amazing. I mean, yeah, I've seen the interviews with the Misfits and that side of things, but that's going to be incredible. But yeah, BKB, I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger. I've interviewed
Yeah.
actually quite a few people with Back to the Bone. I know a lot of the fighters there, and Stefan as well. Shout out to him, he's a great guy.
Yeah, legend.
So anyway, so to see you on there or any of those shows would be absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so then before we wrap things up, Aria, we need to give a shout out to your sponsors. We need to give a shout out to all the people helping you. Not only that, but the people helping you behind the scenes in any way. Because I've seen some lovely posts like about your coach and about like that we were talking
Oh,
about earlier. I've seen
yeah.
in your stories recently, and all of these kinds of things. And there's a lot of people helping you, or there's I say a lot of people, but there'll be certain key people behind the scenes who
Yes.
are helping you. We need to give them a mention because they probably don't get the credit they deserve
Yeah,
for helping your
absolutely.
career.
So obviously we've got Coach Pepper, my fiance, my coach. He's been with me from the very beginning. Like I couldn't be on this journey without him, and he supports me so much, not just in training, but obviously outside of training as well. And we've got Champs Fight Store, which is Europe's biggest fight store. So I started shopping with them when I first started boxing, and they've joined me on my journey. And they're now one of my sponsors. Great guys down there. If you need any fight kit, make sure you get yourself down there. Use code Aria1. We've got Donado, so the greatest boxing glove maker in the world. He is my glove sponsor. Again, he's become a good friend, and I'm hoping to see him in Italy later this year or beginning of next year. He provides all of my boxing gloves for me. And again, it's just that emotional support through camp as well. We've got High 20 Water, one of my sponsors, which is a caffeinated water brand. They've been with me from the very beginning. maxilla mouth guards. They make a lot of mouth guards for a lot of pro fighters. They've been with me from the beginning. Again, both of these sponsors have supported me in and out of camp. I've got Gummy Up, which is another sponsor. So they provide all of my supplements as well as, you know, some financial backing so I can do fight camps without having to work so much, so I can just concentrate on my training. We have got Infinity Management, uh, OSS Media, which are my social media teams. OSS Media does all of my recording, so we meet up once a month to get all of that exciting content talking about opponents. We've got Johnny Ghosts, who is my photographer in boxing, absolute legend. If he's not at one of my fights, it just feels like a bit weird. You'll have to check out his Instagram. He shoots a lot of the pros, Sky Nicholson, Caroline Dubois. Who else have we got? I'm sure there's more. Maybe I've missed a couple out. I can't think of any more. Kronk Clothing, another sponsor of mine, and Box Raw as well, who kindly kit me out in training gear. And my strength and conditioning coach, Ellie Crawley. So I've been with her for just over a year now, and I was battling some stomach problems again, and she helped me go back into recovery with my stomach. She does all my strength and conditioning, make sure I make weight on time. So again, I couldn't do my camps without her. And just all of my sparring partners, Boxing Guildford City, that's where I train. We've got John Edwards there, senior head coach, absolute legend. He's made some champions there. The girls that I spar with, Grace and Jade, but my main sparring partners are Hayley and Stephanie. I get good rounds in with them. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but yeah, there's a nice solid team now that I'm very grateful for. Oh, and King's Fightwear, who supply all of our team kit.
There we go. So when I said there's a few people behind the scenes, I was right, and it's really, really good to give them a mention, no, Aria. I mean, that is a wonderful thing that you've got such
Thank you.
beautiful and genuine support. And on the subject of support, obviously, those people who are hearing about you, like for the first time, or even if they've heard of you, maybe they're hearing a bit more in depth this time, and they want to follow you. We need to give all of your socials a shout out as well, so they can follow you on there. And then we'll wrap this up. But yeah, I want everyone to give you a follow and join in the journey, basically.
Oh, thank you very much. So my Instagram is aria.wild, and if you go on my link in the bio, you'll see all of my other socials down there. I can't remember all of my usernames for all of them, but yeah, if you go on there, give us a follow and I'll give you a follow back. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been very supportive, whether they're lovers or haters of me, whichever form that you come in. I am very grateful for all of your engagement on my posts, all of your words of either trying to build me up or break me down. All of it is used in a positive way. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that has me in their mind, supports me, or yeah, tries to tear me down. All of it I appreciate. So thank you.
That's a good philosophy. That's a good sort of outlook to have on that side of things. Because yeah, I mean, I'm sure you get plenty of both. But
Yeah,
even so, the journey is on the up and up. So I will be cheering for you now for this
thank
next push
you.
with Misfits. I'm really, really excited to see where the journey takes you. And who knows, in the future, maybe we'll do a part two or something like that when you've
Yeah,
done.
absolutely. When I've got that world title, we'll do part two.
Absolutely, that sounds awesome. But for
Thank you,
today,
Liam.
thank you for being such an open book, Aria. I mean, I've got to say as well, just to close out, and I mean this sincerely, that your energy and your whole vibe is just brilliant. You know, really,
Oh,
really, you've got
thank
like a really
you.
warm, welcoming sort of aura. And we were talking a little bit about the spiritual side earlier, but I'm very sort of intuitive like that. And we sat down, I thought, yeah, okay, you've definitely got like a really good vibe. So thank you for that. Thank you for the inspiration, the
You're
vulnerability,
welcome.
everything that you've shared. I'll send this to you when I release it. Be grateful for
Perfect.
a reshare as well. And other than that, yep, I'll be following you all the way. So take care,
Thank
have
you
a
very
great day,
much.
and
Thank you,
I
Liam.
will bow as best as I can. I'm holding the phone with my other hand. No, thank you so much,
You're
Ari.
the
Have a great
best.
day, and
Thank
we'll
you
speak soon.
too.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.